Hi there, I'm Alex Woods. I'm a civil litigator. I work for a firm in the City of London, and I'm bringing a number of claims on behalf of consumers against the banks for mis-selling of payment protection insurance. I'm just giving you an introduction to what this website is, where it is that I'm coming from. I'm just going to introduce you to the whole concept really, and then you can, as you'll see below this introductory video, there are a variety of questions, and I've done little video posts to try and address those individual questions. This site, I originally wanted to do it to demystify this area of the law. I know it might sound a little bit philanthropic. Of course, I also saw the opportunities there were for me as a business in creating an online presence for myself, I suppose. So I've spent a lot of time producing these video bulletins, but I have been motivated by, I'm a little bit of a man with a mission, because I do think this is a very interesting area of law, and I do think that generally Joe Public knows very little about their rights, and that they can seek redress, whether through the courts, whether through claims company, whether through a solicitor, whether through the Financial Ombudsman Service, or indeed, I do recommend that people bring their own claims through the Small Claims Court. So that's the purpose of this website. At the risk of repeating myself, I just want to reiterate that my aim is to demystify this area of law, and I'm open to be corrected. I stand corrected if I've made any errors in my understanding or appreciation of the law. This is an evolving area, and that with the Cartoon Bankers website, you can email in. Hopefully in time there'll be opportunities for people to comment regularly, and I'll take feedback and make the whole thing will be a process. So what you've got is 3 sections. The first is the PPI consumer specials, and those are directed at people who aren't familiar with this area of law, who don't work in the sector, and who in all likelihood have a claim, and they want to bring a claim perhaps against a lender for flogging them a loan and sticking a payment protection insurance policy on it. I'm interested in the long-term goal of setting up a financial irregularity department or business, but needless to say, the mis-selling of payment protection insurance policies has been so endemic, so systemic, so widespread that all of the claims that I'm running, I think nearly all of the claims that I'm running are for the mis-selling of payment protection insurance. So PPI consumer specials for people who come to this area completely fresh. I've also got a thread of case bulletins, and that is for those who are more interested in the law. This may be solicitors who are new to the sector, solicitors who actually can't be bothered to go through a very long case and would like a little bit of a heads up, or at least an introduction into certain cases that are reasonably regularly being handed down in this sector. And it's also for introducers and claims companies who want to understand what the law is and the way in which it's evolving. But it's also for anybody out there who would like to educate themselves about the law. Consumer law is perhaps on the back of sort of the drift and the trend in terms of European legislation, going towards sort of slightly wrapping in cotton wool consumers. Although I think, nevertheless, at the same time, the courts are keen to maintain the principle that they don't protect people from entering into a bad bargain. It's the same whether you're buying a second-hand car or whether you're buying an insurance policy. To a point, the law says that it's not going to prevent you from entering into a bad bargain, but the principle is that the law protects you so that you are informed about the bargain that you're entering into. So even if it is a terrible bargain, even if it is a terrible bargain, you'll be entering it with your eyes wide open, and it'll be a matter for you. And as they say in Latin, caveat emptor, buyer beware before entering into a contract for anything, whether it's a second-hand car or an insurance product. So there you are, that's the law. Case bulletins, they won't be so frequent as the other. I mean, I'll only do them as and when a case comes out. But there have been some important landmark cases, and for any introducers, well, for anybody out there who wants to look at perhaps what the most important cases are in the sector right now, as of December 2010, I would urge you to look at Yates, Lorenzelli and Nemo Personal Finance, which helps to interpret the most important piece of legislation probably in this area, the unfair relationships test, which was brought about by an amendment to the Consumer Credit Act 1974, and it was enacted as recently as 2007, so it's a fresh bit of legislation, and it's a landmark bit of legislation. So have a look at that case and that statute if you want to educate yourself more about this area of the law. Thirdly, the final area will be what I call the bunker, and I post these on a roughly weekly basis, and it's really an insight into what I'm doing, how I'm running my cases, the successes, the defeats, the frustrations, the joys of winning a claim, little insights of that nature. And the idea is that it's a running video blog, and I think that perhaps claims companies in particular are finding that quite useful, and perhaps other solicitors are too. I mean, part of it is the idea of a service that new solicitors come into the sector can educate them quite quickly about the ins and outs. And I do actually talk about my cases. I don't mention names, but I do talk about the cases and in some detail. So if you want to learn more about civil litigation and running consumer claims, then I urge you to keep up with that thread. So those are the three sections of this website. What else is there to say? Well, I'm going to address a whole list of other questions by means of separate mini video bulletins, so you can refer and dip into individual questions that you feel are relevant to you. Please do feel relatively free to email me at the cartoonbankers.com website. I say relatively because I do have to spend quite a lot of time running the cases. At the moment I'm short-staffed, although I am hoping to recruit someone if the business flourishes, if we take off and I've got some money to pay someone to handle things permanently. I'll get them to assist in answering questions, and I'll try and answer them myself as best I can, but time might be an issue. So please feel free to surf the site. I look forward to meeting you, even though it is pretty much a one-way street. And above all, I urge you to educate yourself about your legal rights, and in the fallout of a once-in-a-century credit binge, which is what we've experienced, credit card debts, the amount of credit card debts in this country alone, according to figures published in 2005, exceeded the rest of Europe put together. We are big bingers, I'm afraid. They don't do it so much in France, for instance. So, it's really important that people out there, that we all get our finances in order and we educate ourselves about our rights in what is an evolving area of law. So, on that note, see you later.